Music psychology studies how songs affect our brains and bodies. Listening to music activates regions all across the brain, perhaps because it can spark connections between so many different parts of the mind. Music can also have important psychological benefits. For example, energetic music has been shown to help people think. It's also thought that music could help your body deal with illnesses because it reduces stress and boosts markers of healthy immune system functioning. Although listening to music can have many positive effects on your mental health, it likely can't replace psychotherapy guided by a licensed professional. Even so, music therapy involving music therapists can alleviate anxiety and depression while also improving social functioning and mental health in people with schizophrenia. Music therapy has also been shown to promote emotional health, help patients cope with stress, and boost psychological well-being. Besides that, research suggests that background music or music that is played while the listener is primarily focused on another activity can improve performance on cognitive tasks in older adults. One study found that playing more upbeat music led to improvements in processing speed, while both upbeat and downbeat music led to benefits in memory. Consider choosing instrumental tracks rather than those with complex lyrics, which might end up being more distracting. One of the most surprising psychological benefits of music is that it might be a helpful weight loss tool. If you are trying to lose weight, listening to mellow music and dimming the lights might help you achieve your goals. One study found that listening to music at its original tempo was associated with normal eating pace. Speeding up or slowing down the tempo resulted in higher food intake. Other research suggests that when people are distracted by music, or if the music contributes to increased arousal, they may disregard feelings of fullness and overeat. The emotions people feel when listening to music can also affect eating behaviors. In one study, people were more likely to report that beer was sweeter, better tasting, and more enjoyable when they were listening to music associated with positive feelings. However, it's important to remember that the findings on the relationship between food and music are mixed. More research is needed. Music may even improve your memory, but it depends on the type of music, the listener's enjoyment of that music, and even how musically well trained the listener may be. Those unfamiliar with music benefited more from positive songs, while those with some expertise tended to perform better with neutral music. Research on the effects of music on learning is mixed. While students often report that they find it helpful, study results often suggest that it can be distracting, particularly music with lyrics. However, listening to instrumental background music may have some benefits. In fact, one study found that participants learning a new language showed improvement in their knowledge and abilities when they practiced singing new words and phrases versus just regular speaking or rhythmic speaking. Besides that, researchers have found that listening to fast-paced music motivates people to work out harder. One study found that people exercise significantly longer when listening to music than without. Another study found that listening to high-tempo music during high-intensity exercise can improve performance without causing people to feel like they are exerting themselves harder. Songs distract you from your increased breathing rate, sweating, and muscle soreness. Plus, scientists have discovered that the addition of a strong, rhythmic beat, such as fast-paced musical track, could inspire people to pick up the pace. Runners are not only able to run faster while listening to music, they also feel more motivated to stick with it and display greater endurance. The ideal tempo for workout music is somewhere between 125 and 140 beats per minute. While research has found that synchronizing body movements to music can lead to better performance and increased stamina, the effect tends to be the most pronounced in cases of low to moderate intensity exercise. In other words, the average person is more likely to reap the rewards of listening to music more than a professional athlete might. Other findings of music psychology include enhanced social connections, particularly during events, better cognitive health in older adults, and empowerment among marginalized people. Researchers have found that listening to music triggers the release of several chemicals that play a role in brain function and mental health. Because of its rhythmic and repetitive aspects, music engages the neocortex of our brain. which calms us and reduces impulsivity. We often utilize music to match or alter our mood. Studies have shown that listening to music can reduce anxiety, blood pressure, and pain, as well as improve sleep quality, mood, mental alertness, and memory. Music can raise your mood and fend off depression. It can also improve blood flow in ways similar to medications, lower your levels of stress-related hormones, and ease pain. Listening to music before an operation can even improve post-surgery outcomes. Classical music is a winner at helping you focus. Music that has a tempo of 60 beats per minute increases the efficiency of the brain in processing information. The best way to use it is to have it playing softly in the background as you get on with your tasks. Music with lyrics hindered verbal memory, visual memory, and reading comprehension, whereas its negative effect on arithmetic was not credible. Instrumental music, hip-hop lo-fi, did not credibly hinder or improve performance. Participants were aware of the detrimental impact of the lyrics. Instrumental music was, however, sometimes perceived as beneficial. Our results corroborate the general distracting effect of background music. It's been shown that the inclusion of simultaneous background music during the learning of spoken words led to improved subsequent recall as compared to hearing spoken words in silence. Psychologists from the University of Central Lancashire, University of Gävle in Sweden, and Lancaster University investigated the impact of background music on performance by presenting people with verbal insight problems that are believed to tap creativity. They found that background music significantly impaired people's ability to complete tasks testing verbal creativity. The researchers conducted 3 experiments involving verbal tasks in either a quiet environment or while exposed to background music with foreign, unfamiliar lyrics, instrumental music without lyrics, music with familiar lyrics. Background music appears to disrupt people's ability to plan and test out solutions using their inner speech. It's thought that music disrupts verbal memory. However, there was no significant difference in performance of the verbal tasks between the quiet and library noise conditions. Researchers say this is because library noise is a steady state sound, which is not as disruptive as the music used in the experiments. All of this goes to show that depending on the task, playing instrumental music might be useful, but music with lyrics generally ought to be avoided. As a reminder, it's also been shown that white noise, pink noise, and brown noise may be worth listening to. Results from 2 experiments indicate that even when people are successful at maintaining sustained attention, as when avoiding the temptation to check their phones, the mere presence of these devices reduces available cognitive capacity. Additionally, Kim, 2014, found that high levels of psychological disengagement from studying by smartphone using breaks, for example, using social network services or playing games, were beneficial for recovery, but the effectiveness was weaker than conventional breaks, for example, napping or walking. Place your phone somewhere where it can't distract you. Alternatively, you can use it to film yourself being productive and see how long you last. Also remember that you shouldn't use your phone during a break due to how distracting it is and can continue to be through lingering thoughts. Taking a break from your numerous social media apps and some time away from screens could help be good for your mental and physical health, and that's where a digital detox comes in. This is a period of time during which you intentionally reduce the amount of time you spend online on your devices. You may even opt to disconnect completely. Time online can cause self-image problems, low self-esteem, sleep problems, depression, anxiety, weight gain, unhealthy eating, lack of exercise, lack of time management, and poor work ethic. Several social experiments found that taking a scheduled break away from your smartphone or digital device can lower your stress levels. It can also help you focus on the present and pay more attention to things around you. Another benefit is a lower likelihood of lower back and neck problems. To acquire a better approach to how you use your phone, figure out when you tend to use it to boost self-awareness. You can also track screen time and stop using your phone at night to help yourself go to bed earlier. It's also possible you should receive guidance from a doctor or therapist. Even if you don't think you're addicted, information overload is still a potential concern. That's the phenomenon in which we encounter an excessive amount of information. It prevents us from making rational decisions and can cause us to feel fatigued and irritated. Historically, the negative side effects of information overload often coincided with periods of rapid technological change. New technologies mean new information, often at a faster rate, and can cause people to feel overwhelmed. Adverse reactions to overwhelming amounts of information began in pre-modern cultures with the accumulation of manuscripts. In fact, a prominent philosopher in the 1st century AD by the name of Seneca proclaimed that the abundance of books is distraction. Being aware of so much information often leads to confusion rather than knowledge. Frameworks for organization and decision-making help, and so does focusing on one task at a time and taking breaks from your phone. Doing productive things early in the morning comes with the benefit of safely putting your phone completely aside alongside being more distraction-free overall. To combat instant gratification, the act of indulging one's desires through quick sources of pleasure, try to take more sincere breaks from devices by turning off certain notifications when working. Delaying gratification by practicing self-control and mindfulness helps achieve more meaningful goals and improves overall well-being. Developing strategies like setting clear long-term goals and creating a reward system can help resist the urge for immediate rewards, fostering personal growth and resilience. Choosing delayed gratification requires the ability to envision your desired future if you forego your current desire. If you cannot paint a vivid picture of your future, you have little motivation to plan for it. Emotional regulation also plays a role, seeing as temptations are stronger when we're upset and unsure how to cope. It doesn't help that instant gratification can take various forms. The urge to indulge in a high-calorie treat instead of a snack that will contribute to good health. The desire to hit snooze instead of getting up early to exercise. The temptation to go out for drinks with your friends instead of finishing a paper or studying for an exam. The temptation to go out for drinks with your friends instead of getting a good night's sleep on a work night. This is one temptation that crosses generational bounds. The desire to buy a new car that will require a high interest loan instead of waiting until you have saved enough money to buy it without taking a loan. The urge to spend all your time with a new beau instead of working towards your long-term goals. Occasionally acting upon these wants is alright, but remember the techniques to combat it. Before making a decision between instant and delayed gratification, take a moment to think about your future mental state. If you opt for instant gratification, how will the future you feel? One of the best ways to protect yourself from the temptation of instant gratification is to make some decisions beforehand. If you can set some of your most important decisions in stone now, you will be less likely to change your mind or go through the hassle of backtracking and undoing your preparations when you come face to face with a decision. Fortunately, these strategies can still help you even if you're in a bad mood. Another thing to consider is that there are two main categories of decision making. You can adopt a high-level or a low-level construal. The term construal means interpretation. If you're in a low-level construal, you're thinking more concretely. You're focusing on the particular details of the situation, ignoring the bigger picture. On the other hand, if you're in a high-level construal, then you're thinking more abstractly. You're focusing on the bigger picture rather than any particular details. Researchers have shown that when people are in a high-level construal, they are more aware of their long-term values and goals. This makes them see the long-term implications of their decision rather than just the immediate benefits. For example, unhealthy food automatically seems more negative. Whenever you're faced with temptations, ask yourself a series of why questions. Then turn your answer into another question. In this way, you link your current decisions, whether to indulge or not, with your deepest wishes and values, such as self-compassion and caring, which boosts your want-to motivation. This technique is known as Socratic questioning, which stimulates critical thinking by repeatedly asking open-ended questions that prevent others from responding with yes or no, thus making them challenge their assumptions. Meanwhile, how questions are associated with low-level construal. You could even come up with a specific symbol that reminds you of high-level construal and use it whenever you're faced with temptations. As an alternative, you can take a third-person perspective. Imagine that you're looking at yourself from a distance while making a self-controlled decision, thus externalizing the internal struggle. By doing this little exercise, you can get into a more abstract mindset, which will help you choose the goal-promoting rather than the indulgent option. Despite its benefits, high-level construal is not a universal technique. Firstly, if you've set yourself a goal and you're making plans how to achieve it, then it's necessary to switch between a high-level and low-level construal. You need to figure out the concrete steps that will help you achieve this goal. Decide how many times per week and where you'll be exercising. In other words, you need to shift into a low-level construal. Secondly, high-level construal isn't suitable for everyone. If you experience a lot of negative thinking, you judge and criticize yourself harshly for self-control failure, then high-level construal might actually make the problem worse. If this is the case, then it's better to use mindful construal, which involves asking yourself specific how questions. By focusing on details or positive aspects of a situation, you help yourself focus on the present moment in a helpful way. Mindful construal has been shown to increase self-compassion and reduce anxiety related to food during a practice called mindful eating. Examples of questions include, how does this meal taste and smell? And how important is this meal right now? To make using your phone less appealing, consider making the background something that makes you think twice alongside tracking your screen time. Also, activate scheduled summary for notifications on iOS to have it pop up at a specified point of the day. You can use an app blocker for certain times and an app that limits the amount of times you can open distracting apps. An app called Roots does both. Alternatively, use a minimalist launcher, Indistractable or Niagara on Android and Minimalist Launcher on iOS or Grayscale mode. Customize your phone so that it facilitates your productivity. Evaluate what apps to keep or delete according to how much they contribute to or hinder your goals. You can also change how many notifications you receive from the apps you decide to keep. Adding widgets helps if you want shortcuts to certain apps. All of this goes to show the importance of learning more about the devices and software you use alongside any additional purchases that may be worth the investment. An example of an app with widgets is Streaks, the habit tracker. Have technology serve you, not the other way around. This logic also applies to the productivity system you come up with, seeing as complexity could cause over-reliance or even decreased productivity despite the fact you feel more organized. You'll likely just need a calendar and some notes. Even so, some alternatives are productivity apps like FocusMate, Forfeit, Beeminder, time tracker apps like Clockify, Rise, or ToggleTrack, distraction prevention apps like Forest, FocusMe, or Freedom, and note-taking apps like Notion, Anki, or Evernote. Notion also comes with a calendar, but if you want an app that prioritizes that feature, two examples are Todoist and Fantastical. Ultimately, using technology to perform these services is optional, but various apps have the benefit of gamification. That's the process of making a task more like a game through challenges and a reward system. Other helpful examples include scheduled motivational reminders or emails and virtual vision boards through Canva or Pinterest. To quickly find certain files, you can use an app like Alfred, unless, of course, your device already optimizes the process of searching. Fight time-wasting habits that drain your brain with apps like Opal or OneSec if you honestly don't believe you should gradually stop using the apps. And if you have the cash, exchange it for time by paying someone to do a duty of yours, such as cleaning. After all, you can make more money, but you can't make more time. Looking into life hacks may also help you find ways to save time. Another way is to automate repetitive tasks, with AI assistance being an example. Shifting some of your workload onto AI may cost money, but it may be money well spent. Even so, being able to automate your tasks through another person is especially nice considering the social aspect. Examples of technology-based cues for habits are recurring reminders, home screen reminders, and location reminders. Environment-based includes strategically placed items, and planning-based includes dry runs, in which you pretend to do the habit before you actually have to do it. More commonly known prompts are sticky notes, habit stacking, and visualization. Note that technology-based prompts aren't as efficient as planning-based, since life is unpredictable. Cues are a component of the habit loop, a model that showcases how habits are maintained. By the way, habit stacking refers to the practice of pairing a new habit with an old one. No matter how spontaneous you are in your daily life, your brain loves a good routine. The term habit stacking is new. Author James Clear coined it in his best-selling book Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. But the underlying idea has been around for a long time. Habit stacking can work, but calling the practice easy is overstating it. And as we'll see, there's no foolproof technique for building good habits because every ask we make of our brain is a little bit different. Plus, the mind becomes less efficient at accepting change as we get older. So be grateful for and take advantage of your youth. According to Dr. Alexander, it can take anywhere from 18 to 200 days to build a habit. Could habit stacking speed that process up or make it easier? The less than satisfying answer is maybe. Like most self-improvement hacks, habit stacking works well for some people and not for others. Dr. Alexander says success largely depends on the habit itself, both how hard it is and whether it's something you enjoy doing. If habit stacking hasn't worked for you, don't be discouraged. There are lots of ways to train our brains and build good habits. Dr. Alexander recommends you try shaping instead. It's a behavioral principle where you gradually shape your behavior toward a goal, she explains. This approach can be especially helpful for people with conditions like depression that impact your ability to self-motivate. Making small changes over time tends to be far less psychologically overwhelming. And whether we're creating good habits or breaking bad ones, we're likely to struggle a bit. It's part of the process. It's a reason to make a habit of self-compassion. Dr. Alexander emphasizes that it's important to avoid black and white thinking. Consistency is key to developing new behaviors, but forgetting or skipping your habit doesn't mean you failed. Instead, focus on what you have accomplished and get excited to build on it. Note that habit stacking abides by the pre-MAC principle, which states that a behavior can be reinforced if acting upon it means engaging in a more pleasant behavior. Also, consider how habit stacking and the pre-MAC principle may be responsible for the behaviors you'd like to change. Make sure they aren't feeding into each other, and make the bad behaviors less pleasurable. Similarly, make sure you don't make work too pleasurable to ensure that work and leisure are clearly separated in your mind. Besides that, familiarizing yourself with the features of the productivity apps you use will help you become more confident and competent with them. Part of this may mean figuring out how to color code things, since that'll make you more comfortable with the software. Also note that these apps should be easily spotted, and you can use reminders to encourage yourself to check the apps, such as using a supporting habit or bundling the act of checking with another habit. If you wish to break the habit, you do the inverse of the habit loop, such as customizing Do Not Disturb, disabling unnecessary notifications, and turning off app icon badges. Also note that you can download Chrome extensions, for example, Unhook for YouTube, on iOS through Orion and through Kiwi on Android. Other ways to increase friction are deactivating autoplay or logging out of addictive websites/apps after using them. Relatedly, you can use incognito mode or the cookie auto-delete extension. Remember that you can schedule focus and do not disturb. It makes sense to put something new in your schedule to replace the empty void. For example, drinking soda instead of alcohol at parties so that you're still enjoying yourself, even if that's not an ideal alternative. Consider how it's harder to eat one Dorito than it is to eat 0. Consider having separate accounts for work and leisure. This comes with the benefit of taking advantage of the algorithms on websites, which are responsible for the content you see. Separate accounts means seeing content completely aligned with your goals when working, thus preventing distraction. For your computer, you can disable notifications, turn on Do Not Disturb, remove the taskbar and start menu ads, and disable unnecessary startup apps. On your browser, you can disable homepage suggestions or distracting bookmarks. Extensions that can help are Website Blocker to redirect you to Google, Inbox when ready, which hides your emails until you wish you send a message, Plan, Calendar and Tasks so that your schedule is easily noticeable, and Newsfeed Eradicator. While most extensions are likely to work flawlessly, some extensions might not work on the phone. For example, Newsfeed Eradicator is amazing on a computer, but it doesn't work well on the Kiwi browser. So some Googling around for alternatives is recommended if you face any issues